Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and we are working on another project. So I know we've been jumping around on projects lately, but with wintertime coming, I've been trying to get a couple different things ready or done, because a lot of this multiple project thing is waiting for parts. So like the 33, we did a little bit of work on that because we need to blow it apart and wait for an engine to get built, and getting some floors stamped for it, different stuff like that. But really what we want to focus on this winter is the Sweetheart Roadster and the Schroll 32. So the Schroll 32 we bought, and I was definitely hot and heavy on working on this thing. I got a little distracted over the summer, but really I knew I was going to wait till winter time to start digging into this car, and the time has finally come. So what we need to do on this car after looking it over is I definitely need to blow it 100% apart. We need to pull the body off, pull the engine out, and really just go over the frame and fix any rust that's on the frame, any poor work that's done, and get the our ground level all set and fixed, and then we could start working on the body and different things like that. So I've gathered a ton of parts for this car already. We found a T-bird seat that was like what was in the car back in the day. It may need to be modified to fit perfectly. I found an Oldsmobile engine to put back in this. I have a LaSalle trans. I have a lot of the major parts for this car, but we need to get all the crude work that's done fixed up and looking a little better. So what Mike and I are going to work on today is actually taking the car all the way apart. So we're going to show you what we find along the way, and hopefully the frame isn't too bad. Fingers crossed underneath that we will have something that's decent to work with. So let's go rip a car apart.
Alright, so we got the grill, everything, hung the grill up on the wall since Matt pulled that grill off for that car, so there's an open space.
All is well in the world again.
Yeah, the grill count has been restored. Headlights, all that stuff's off. Pulled the bench seat out. The car is filled with yellow foam, and this trans tunnel is bolted to this angle iron, which is just like wedged in here. I might need a hand pulling this out, Matt. Ooh, you really might need a hammer to knock it. So there were holes right here in the
very tight fit.
Yeah.
So we think this is this thing might have had a Y block at some time. We think this is like a T-bird type shifter that's on here. So at some point in time, the car might have had a Y block mocked up in it or running. We're not sure, but that's what that kind of looks like. That's probably what this tunnel was for, but it is very obtrusive in the car, so we may not use this.
I guess I'll set the camera now and give you a hand. Oh, barely fits through the door opening.
Means they made it perfect.
Oh, look at that, nice custom.
I didn't really look at that thing. We just kind of like shoved it in the car.
Nice.
Oh yeah, show the.
We kind of looked at this from underneath, but this is the custom metal work.
They just cut chunks out.
Yep.
Hey, whatever works,
Pie
man.
cuts on pie cuts on pie cuts.
Hey, whatever works. These guys didn't have a torch apparently.
No.
Oh my god.
Looks
Yeah,
good.
It's a good relic to keep with the car.
If you cover it with sheet metal, you can't see it.
So we weren't lying. This engine and trans is not bolted down at all.
Transmission is still kind of good.
Oh, there you go. But like, yeah, not even remotely bolted down. It's just sitting.
I'm surprised it doesn't flop backwards. Oh, it's sitting on this. The bottom of the trans is sitting on this little cross member, but there's
all right.
literally nothing.
This is going to be the easiest engine trans.
You had to say it, dude. It's not out yet.
You said it already.
I did say it already, but you double jinxed this.
Let's get the chain and the handy I-beam and chain hoist, old Redding chain hoist, and pull another engine out. Sneak it past that. The tough part's going to be getting past that firewall. They actually wanted to lift, go up a little more.
There we go.
No more. Now you can go too high. That was easy. Thank you, Larry, for not finishing this.
Thank you for not bolting this down or building any crazy brackets. Actually, sure. Oh.
Oh, God.
I thought I had the gas tank supported. It just almost flopped out at me.
Great.
Oh, there's still something in this.
What, the gas tank?
Yeah.
Fossils?
I just stood it up on end and there's fluid still in it.
Oh, God, be careful. That's going to stink the whole shop.
I gotta be careful.
There's moonshine in there. All right, so I've been grabbing a bunch of special, if you want to call it specialty, but mechanic tools that I had like used up crappy old ones and hand-me-downs and whatever.
I mean ones that you acquired from your dad?
Yeah,
We use acquired as a nice word.
Stole from my dad when I was a kid, or got at a yard sale or a swap meet, whatever. And but I've been grabbing some of these, so I just got one of these bearing splitter puller kits from Eastwood. They're really good. I've been using them for like pulling old steering wheels off of steering boxes that don't have the holes in the steering wheel, for steering wheel puller, all kinds of different stuff. If you're kind of creative, they actually work pretty well for this type of stuff. So I've been using them for pulling pitman arms off of steering boxes, because these steering boxes usually have a little divot in them that's made for a special tool. But again, having the universal tool, I can kind of cobble it together and it works until I find the K.R. Wilson.
There's probably a K.R. Wilson steering arm puller in that junkyard.
Probably somewhere. So. It's coming. Ah, man, that worked really well. That was way too easy.
Perfect.
Man, I would have been smashing on it with a hammer. And sometimes it's nice to actually get the right tools, better tools. There's like weird stacks of washers. Like everything about this is just...
Well, they were too long, but they couldn't find anything shorter.
It's like a massive stack of washers. I love it. Gotta keep the washers to keep it period correct. Got it?
Yep.
We're probably gonna have to...
Well, if you just leave it sit there.
Yeah, we have to lift the body up.
Yep. Beautiful. Stinky. Wow.
That little shorty impact is strong, man.
Yes,
I'm actually impressed.
This works. Wow. That was surprisingly well.
We might keep those bolts.
Well, at least get one that matches.
Vintage.
Oh yeah.
But it actually come out the roof?
It might have to come out the door upside down. Or on its side, one of the two. That's it. Yep. Oh my God. Don't look at those bolt holes. It's actually probably easier out the door. Yee. the bolt holes on this side.
I see, or like so, like at the edge. Right?
Well, this one's actually through the edge of the plate. So you might want to weld slightly longer plates onto the frame.
I think we'll do a bunch of things. All right, so we got that cross brace in and we were getting ready to do the across the door openings. Biggest thing with these old channeled cars is that they usually had very little floor in them, and even though they had it bolted to the frame, they didn't really have any type of floor or any other bracing in it. So over time, the car starts to open up like this in the door jamb area, and on this car, both, like for lack of a better word, inner rocker pieces in the door jamb have actually split right at the A-pillar and now are loose. So over time, this car could kind of flex and move like that. So we were kind of checking the door gaps. The other side is surprisingly not bad. This side actually goes from being tight up top here, and then down at the bottom, it's too loose, but then it actually gets kind of tight at the bottom. So our first instinct was to just pull the body in like this with a ratchet strap. That'll pull this gap tighter, everything will be good. Well, not really. The gap is actually fat on both doors. Now the other side, the gap is fairly consistent top to bottom for being a 30s car, an old hot rod. But we noticed on both sides, it's actually fatter right here in the center of the car. From like here to here, the gap is like really wide. So what that's telling me is the car is actually like bulging out, and it needs to kind of be pulled in because also the door is sitting out away from the body a little bit, so that the whole entire body at the B-pillar is actually kind of bulged out over time, and that might just be from no bracing, or it wasn't really bolted in here super well, so it might have like been bulging out. It's hard to say with how old these cars are. So what we're gonna do, I actually need to cut that cross brace we had, because we just realized this, and take a little section out of the center of it, and then we're gonna ratchet it together and keep doing that so we can hopefully get these gaps a little better, get the door to sit in a little closer, and at least get it like in the ballpark for an old hot rod. So we're gonna do that first, then we could pull on this side. The other side's pretty good. We can put a ratchet strap from B-pillar to A-pillar, pull together and get this gap tightened up just a little bit at the bottom here so that it matches the other side, and then we should be at least in the ballpark so that everything's pretty good.
Bunch of wood just fell out of that other side.
Oh yeah, that piece I had set back in. We're slowly going up. At least we're working on a piece of 32 instead of a piece of Model A or Model T.
Model A Roadster. Remember the frame on the Sweetheart Roadster?
Yeah, that was... We're still working on pieces of shit. I mean, I can't get past that addiction.
At least you admit you have a problem. That's the first step to recovery, Matt. Go ahead.
Definitely doing something.
Better.
Yeah, it's pulling in at the bottom a little bit too, which is good.
The gap's actually a lot more uniform.
Probably one of the things too we're fighting. Well, actually, you know what? It's probably good. The body's still bolted
In the
at
bottom?
the B-pillar here,
Yeah.
so it's pulling right where we want it to in the center. You want me to go wipe another click?
If you can.
I'm more scared of my weld. I wasn't really making welds for pulling. Oh God.
I mean, it's pretty.
Better.
It's a lot better. It's still a little tighter at the top.
Well, the tighter at the top, we're not going to fix with what we're doing here.
But that's a lot more uniform all the way down. It's still a little proud, but you might be able to adjust the dovetail. Because
So
the door.
check the other side then, and just see if we also pull in there. We may have to pull twice. I don't know.
It looks like that it's more uniform now. The bottom's still.
A little. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that could also be.
Could it use another click, you think?
Yeah, it could.
Oh, God. Ooh, I don't want to go any more.
That's a lot better.
Is it?
Yeah. The other thing it could be, I guess the hinge pins are pretty tight because the door's
latched, so that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely getting better.
Yeah.
This gap, this was sticking out a lot more.
Yeah. It's a lot better.
Is it?
Yep.
How about the other side? Take a look again.
Yeah, a lot better. It's still a little. It's better than it was.
Okay.
The proudness, but the gap is almost equal on this side.
Okay. Oh God. I better get this welded.
Yes.
Gas on?
Yes. Huh? Just weld the clamp.
Never fails every time.
If you say you don't do it, you're a liar.
I'm very surprised that ratchet strap has
Not melted or start on fire.
Yes.
One of these days I gotta make universal things like this that have a turnbuckle in the center.
Yeah.
And then you can,
Weld it and just turn it.
yeah, we could do what we just did, but
Come on, put your hood down.
I
Sorry.
just forgot I even had a helmet on.
Sorry for ruining your fun.
good.
Yep. Hey, at least Larry already had a battery cable ran for you.
Yeah, thanks, Larry.
I don't think he ran that. I'm sure that's from when it was on the road.
All right, so we got all the bolts cut around the body, so it's pretty much free. We got a little bit of tension on the straps that we have set up with the boards and rags and all that stuff. But this is basically how a lot of the early hot rods were channeled, is they would spread the firewall out, put the firewall foot underneath, and then bolt to the bottom of the frame. This one they went a little lower and actually made feet, so it's actually dropped lower than the frame. So what we need to do is actually take a couple of these bolts out. So we're using this screw buster from Eastwood that we talk about a lot, and we're going to loosen these up. We got a vice grips on the inside holding the square nut, and then we can take these loose. We took one out, but we can't get it to spread enough, but basically you want to just spread the cowl just enough to slip these feet past and get it to go over.
If you win second place in our Christmas giveaway.
You're getting one of these suckers, one of my favorite tools. Oh, my vice grips, but it's broken loose.
Yeah. It kind of worked.
The tool worked better than my vice grip connection. Go.
Oh yeah, look how much the firewall is not quite right. So as you're taking that out, it's actually moving on its own. Like you can see it dips in right here.
Yeah.
So it was actually pulled in tighter, which is good. A little bit more.
Just a little bit more. There we go. Sweet.
Vice grips are still in there, right?
Yeah, no, you're good.
I feel very unsettling sometimes. You're just like, I don't know if that's doing anything.
Try and cut it right in here and then see what's left. I think if I cut, we have a light.
Yeah.
I think if I cut this foot, it'll come out.
help Ron with that. Holy shit.
Yeah. That's fire. Oh boy.
You got it.
Not really.
Oh.
It's the wood.
You want that wet rag?
All we're doing is starting the fire again. Not good.
Let me go get that dog dish.
Yeah.
Here's a bucket.
Let me get this thing out. It's not like going on the fire there. We have that dry bar.
Yeah.
It's actually almost broken free, I think, with the fry bar.
There you go.
It's just going to smolder forever.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with this real old petrified wood is it fucking...
Did you all smoke?
There you go. Yeah, it's not a ratchet. Hey!
Got a big bucket if you just want to dump it.
Yeah, I'm just going to splash it down. Oh, that's a big bucket. Holy shit. Yeah, just give it to me. Yeah, that's fine. Get wet on top of dirt.
Yeah, actually, I might be able to pour better from.
Put it right down the depot. There you go. It's probably from underneath, so we're gonna. All right. So now we need to get. What's the catch in here? We fill our feet or something.
Yep.
Yeah, you fill our catch in now.
Oh, what if we shimmy it forward?
Yeah, to get back to the narrower section.
Well, is that back up in the air?
You know what? I'll pick up. We want the body to go forward, right?
Yeah. There we go.
All right, now go up.
Oh, 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 oh.
Hold on, let me get. I'll go over there.
Yep. This one's clear. I forgot about
Get out.
There we go. You want to go to the back again? We need like 9 more people here to do this. Yep, we need a little bit more. Alright, ready?
Well, we need to go a little. I'm gonna have to kind of.
Alright, let down on it. I can probably.
Hold on. Let me set it down.
Good. Alright.
Walk in the catwalk here.
Well, I'm going to start spinning it. You want to hop off. Ready?
Yep.
You got space over there?
Yep. Sit on this next question. I'd like to probably put something under it that's going to crush the
Tail fan. Alright, hold that then.
Let's see what it. Let me see.
You made me work this hard and we didn't even get lunch today.
I know. That's a bad day.
But good news is,
Body's off. And,
What a freaking pain in the butt.
big mess, big success.
Definitely working on an early Ford.
Holy crap. That's probably one of the worst. That is the worst one I've ever tried to get off of a frame. The way they slid it in and did everything, like, I think what happened is we braced the A-pillar and they probably like spread the A-pillar apart to get the frame to slide out, and because we braced it, we couldn't do that. And I didn't want to cut the brace because I'm really scared with this car having no inside of getting like out of whack. So we left it how it is. We had to cut these.
They're inside the car.
Falling apart, door jamb, sub rail pieces that were left. They were so bad, the one side just fell off. So
The good thing is, with us bracing it, the door jamb.
the door gap didn't really change. So
Yes.
that was a good thing. With how much ripping around we were doing with that thing, we definitely could have got it like totally out of skew, which is not what we want. So now we're gonna try and blow the frame apart, get it on the engine stands, and then we can kind of just go over the frame and see what all is done, if it's worse or better than we expected. Who knows? But we're gonna get the last couple bolts out, and then we can get this thing finally all broken down. All right, so after like a day's worth of work, we were like, we got the engine out of the car and it was like, I don't know, lunchtime. We're like, oh man, 2 hours, we're gonna be eating the late lunch, we'll be done, everything's good. It's like after dinner time.
It's almost 6.
Yeah, we're pretty much spent the whole day dealing with this nonsense. So the body, actually I'm really glad that we braced the body the way we did, because we were kind of roughing up the body trying to get it off and it just wasn't working. The big stuff that we found out to happen is, you know, like we mentioned earlier about the bracing, and they welded a bunch of brackets in after the body was on and all that was fighting it. And really the only way to do it was to knock out those like sub-rail door jamb sections. They were already rotten anyways, so we took them out. We'll have to replace that. So big thing on the body is just to fix the bottom, you know, a couple inches, which isn't that bad. I know it looks bad, but it's really not that bad. And then those inner door jamb sub-rail sections, I'm probably going to do something kind of similar to what I did on the Pagoda City Coupe when I channeled that, because that car, the way we did it, makes it really easy to remove the body. And instead of something we're going to like slide the frame in, and it's kind of, I know that's how guys did it.
Similar to the 33 as well, right?
We didn't take the body off that yet.
Well, what's going to be done?
Yes, yeah.
Sorry.
So we'll build some kind of floor for it and make it so that the body sits back down on top and you bolt it in, which is really good. So
My back thanks you.
yeah, so the frame is actually like not nearly as bad as we expected. There were some spots that we thought were going to be a lot worse. Obviously it's a little pitted on the front here where it sat with no hood on it out in the open. You can see the engine mounts, quote unquote, that they put in here for that they never drilled. Then this kind of confirms that there was probably a Y block in it at some point. But look at this reminds us of the Sweetheart Roadster so much. There's like stacks of, what is that, like half-inch plate or something?
Half-inch plate, but it's sitting on like massive, it's crazy.
Yeah, so these big blocks of iron that it's sitting on, and then there was a piece of round tubing, if you want to call it that, or black pipe that was probably in there and held the center mounts on a Y block, which are cut out. So we're going to cut out all that nonsense and fix that. This is where the body was like
sitting. It wasn't even bolted. It was
it was just sitting. So this is where the firewall was actually sitting, which isn't a horrible idea. It could just be cleaned up a little bit better.
Shortened slightly.
Yeah. And we don't really know what this random piece is for here, with some angle iron and some plate. We're not really sure what was there because there's not one on this side. Don't know. And there's some pieces of a different cross member.
So there's actually, if you look behind here, this is where the K member was.
Yeah, so they cut that out.
It's back there too.
And they like put this piece in here. And for some of the stuff that's not horrible on the car, if you want to say that, this area is not horrible. They made a nice little mount for the wishbone where it mounted, even though it's angle iron. We could probably do something that cleans that up and makes it look a little better. Who knows? I might take it all the way off and redo it. We're not sure yet. Then they have a piece of like another cross member, I guess, in here that they welded across. So this is like another leg out of a cross member that they welded across here, smashed down, and then the trans was sitting there.
Their tie-in pieces are just pieces of flat steel.
Yeah. So, but what we were thinking was really bad when we were looking down through the car in the wheel well was I saw some of this right here. And actually thought it was all rotten, but actually what it is it's just jagged from where they like torched out the frame there for something.
Practiced on this side, and that side was refined.
A little bit better. So they did, you know that stuff that's easy. We can just cut little pieces, TIG weld them in, blend it. We did it on the Sweetheart Roadster, and it works out really nice. So the frame is actually not bad at all. It's actually, once we take all the BS off of it and all the random pieces of metal, it's actually not too bad of a frame. We can blast it, get it cleaned up, and it'll probably be just fine. They have all these little pieces that were like for the trunk floor. We'll probably get rid of all that stuff and do something that's a little better.
The radius rod.
Yeah, the weird, well, the huge piece of angle iron for the radius rods for the torsion bar setup, as they called it in Larry's notes. We're gonna torch all that out, cut it out, and we'll make a new like cross member that will tie in for the rear radius rods. I have some spare like old school hairpins off of an old hot rod we may use. I'm not sure yet, but we'll figure that out as we go. The thing still has the stock front and rear cross member that hasn't been modified, which I'm really surprised about.
This one's actually been unbolted.
Yeah, so the front one's been taken out at some point and has been unbolted, but it's still in place. The rear one's still riveted in. They have shock mounts here, which we're probably going to kind of keep there and just clean it up a little bit. The rear body mount here is, they just welded a piece in, didn't even lop this off. And then we were laughing about this in one of the early videos. They bobbed the frame rails here, but then they were going to like bob them even further, and then they changed their mind partway through.
Or do you think this was the first cut and they went, whoa, that's way too far.
That's way too far, let's go in here. And then they didn't even touch the other side. So we're probably going to kind of bob the frame rails a little further, change these mounts or clean them up, redo these mounts, but kind of keep some of the same ideas. We want to retain some of the like soul of the car and use some of the ideas they use, but obviously make it safer, cleaner, everything like that. But so the silver lining is the crane is a lot better than we expected, so that's a good thing. It's just some of those parts that came out a little more crudely than we would have liked, but hey, they're out. So the plan from here on out, since it's winter time, is we're going to try and get the body stored away, out of sight, out of mind, so that we could focus on the chassis. Probably going to put the suspension and everything and store that with the body away, and then we can just focus on the chassis. So over the winter I can work on getting all these brackets cut off and everything like that. Then we can bring the suspension and that stuff back, get that all set up. We could set the engine up in the frame, get that all set up in the trans mounts, and we could basically like build the majority of this car like frame wise ahead of time, and then we could put the body back on. So I'll have to work on brainstorming floors and all that stuff after I check everything out and kind of stare it a little bit, but progress, I guess. But yeah, so this is progress on the Schroll Coupe. We appreciate you guys following along. We need to go get changed and hose ourselves off.
Floor. Look at that pile.
Just outrageous. So we got to just like totally clean the shop. It's going to take like 2 days, but this is the progress we needed to do so that we could start working on this car. And hopefully in the springtime we can get this thing like, you know, sort of looking like a car again if everything goes well. We'll see. So thank you guys for following along. Appreciate it. Catch you later.